Let's
How many?
disable that now.
Yeah.
And people can just join in. Hi, guys. Hi. Wow,
Good
quite
to see you.
unfamiliar faces, but it's super cool that all of you are joining in. Just a quick thumbs up if you're new to the ButterMixer. You can press R1 if you are. Hi.
Or
Oh,
do
okay.
to the React in the left side. You can put
Yes.
in
That's also
sections.
cool. Okay. Let's just wait a couple more minutes for people to come in. But first of all, thank you so much, guys, for joining us for today's Butter Mixer. This
We're so
is
excited.
yeah, we really are. If you can't hear from the excitement in our voices, then definitely we
We
just
are.
need to reiterate that. But yeah, it's our 11th round now, and it's been quite a fun ride all throughout. And we're super happy to see this community building around Butter and the Butter Mixers. And for those of you who are new, a quick intro about Butter. So essentially, it's an all-in-one tool that's meant to help facilitators have more collaborative, interactive, and delightful sessions. And one of the things we're doing is to essentially have Butter Mixers, which is a fortnightly workshop series to help you guys who are super keen to learn more about how to improve your facilitation and workshopping skills to really just do that by getting inspired from people like Lina and Teresa and other people in the community. So that's a bit about ButterMixer. I mean, I won't bore you with all the details, but I really, really, really appreciate that you're all here and sharing your time with us. And maybe just a quick icebreaker. We want to know more about you, obviously. So let's try doing that by if you can tell us a bit about who you are, where you're joining from, and tell us the best icebreaker question you've ever experienced in a workshop. That would be a super awesome start. And let me just play some timer music for you guys while you're doing that. Okay, I think really, really good icebreaker questions here, guys. I think a lot of these will be inspiration for next workshops, hopefully. And I know I'm running over time, so I won't bore you guys with some of the other introduction. It's really, we're all here to hear from Lina and Teresa about how to design effective or more engaging workshops with ease. And a bit about them, they have loads of experience when it comes to running workshops and events, and they've done so primarily for the Danish Design Centre. So today they'll actually be sharing their own challenges they've experienced in the workshops that they've run, as well as some practical tips on how to combat them. So I hope you guys are ready to listen and ready to get inspired, and hopefully you can also share later your own experiences on how to, if you have any suggestions on how to combat anxiety in sessions, that would be super lovely to hear from you. Yeah, over to you guys.
Thank you for that warm introduction, Jessica. Thank you so much. So
we're so
hi,
happy to be here.
Yeah, we're
hi,
so
everybody.
happy to be here. We're tuning in from Copenhagen, the Blocks building, which is like very well known for like its urban, sustainable city development and community. So that's where we're tuning in from. I'm Theresa. I'm a project manager at the Danish Design Centre. I have a background within sustainable design and work a lot with startups currently on business development.
And I'm Line, and I'm a design anthropologist, and I used to work with this one in the Danish Design Centre and work a lot with startups. Now I am an innovation consultant in the Copenhagen area municipality. So over to you.
Yes, so what I'll do now is I'll just quickly share the program with you, just so we are all aligned on what's taking place for the next
60 minutes.
60 minutes, maybe more like 50 minutes or so. So super short. The program is, we're going to start with some polls. Let's pull it together. We want to know a bit more about you, your experience, how your facilitation skills has developed virtually over the last year. We're going to share what we believe is the 3 main challenges that we've been facing, at least. We'd love to hear if there's anything more that you would like to chip in on this. Then, sharing is caring. We'll have a little mural board exercise. We'll also dive into why we think facilitations through mural and Miro is a great way to come about this virtual facilitation.
Exactly.
And then we'll share our 10 tools, tips, tricks, approaches, call it what you want, to overcome what we believe can be the death of virtual workshops. And lastly, we've called it a Q&A, but it's very much...
We want to hear from you.
Want to hear from you. We want to start a dialogue and a conversation about how we can all leave here with a better understanding on how to overcome the death of virtual workshops.
Indeed. Yeah.
So I'll just stop sharing there.
We're back.
Yeah. So as Jessica says, we have a lot of skills and competencies within facilitating, but it's also been challenging 1.5 years for us with this, and we've overcome a lot of obstacles, we've made many mistakes, so we're just so happy to be here and share some of all of these insights with you guys. So over to you, Line.
Yeah, we've been on a steep learning curve, and
Definitely.
We are eager to pass on some of our learnings. And one of the things we really, really want to stress today is the importance of making the room or the workshop feel safe, because a workshop is a place where you express ideas you maybe even never said aloud before, or you talk while you're thinking, and you are in this place where you are developing new solutions and nobody has the answers. So it's extremely important that the crowd, the participants feel safe. And hopefully you'll leave this ButterMixer with being reminded of some of the old principles and very basic building blocks of making a good workshop. We will share the slides with you afterwards, and Jessica will record this session and also share it with you. And if you have any questions during the presentation, then use the Q function. If you haven't used Butter before, you find it on the left side. And Jessica, you already showed it. Yes, amazing. And pressing the Q, you can choose to ask a question or just make a comment. And also feel free to write a comment and use all the reactions you want during our presentations. We love that, getting the feedback from you. Yep. So let's start with a poll. That was a lot of talking from us. Now we want to get to know you. So So how much experience do you have in facilitating workshops? We are very curious to know more about that. We can't really see. Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of experience, I guess.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
A bit of a mixed bag there, no?
Bit of a mixed bag, yeah.
That's amazing.
Let's go. Only two more.
I have my pen ready because I'm also very excited to learn from you guys. So, and writing down the notes from today.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. So good to hear. Lots of experience. That means we'll actually have a ton of sharing to do.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think
the
next
upcoming facilitators.
Exactly.
That's also really good.
Mm-hmm. And next question. Let me just end this poll. So clearly people more with a lot of experience. What do you?
But okay, we also went through a pandemic for the last 1.5 years, so we're skilled, lots of us. Cool. So who do you usually host workshops for? Who are the participants? Clients.
Okay, a bit of a mixed crowd there as well.
Collaborators. 2 on others. Wonder what that is. Maybe you can type into the chat the ones who.
Yeah, what are the others? We're interested to hear.
Yeah.
Okay. Ask 2 again.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten most answers in. Let me move on to the next one.
So, okay. Let's do that. University students, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one, guys.
So what type of workshops are you mostly facilitating? What do they revolve around? What's the aim there?
Okay.
Think knowledge and skills.
Oh.
Yeah. Ideation. Yeah. Brainstorming.
Of course.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting. Personality development as well.
So many.
Varied as well. Yep.
Technical workshops.
Yeah.
Want to hear more about this?
Sounds like a difficult one for sure.
Yeah, exactly. There must be some good learnings there.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
I feel like we got a gist of who you are. So let's move on.
Perfect. We'll share our screen again. Okay, so as we said, we'll go through what we believe is like the 3 biggest challenges that we've experienced. And the first one is the sound of silence. And I'm sure, Sheska, you have a perfect sound for this that you can share with us.
Yeah, that's the sound of silence.
That's the sound of silence. What we've come to learn with these is that there is something about the energy in the virtual room that it's easier for the participants to have a low engagement. So therefore the stakes are even higher for you as a facilitator. One way to go about that is, for instance, to have like a really playful platform, such as Butter, such as Mural, all of these different ways to sort of interact and keep the energy level going. Another thing we've also learned is that it's more tricky to feel what the energy in the room is. So for instance, something that's really important to do is to have a clear agenda, and even like maybe before people actually come into the workshop, so they know exactly what is expected of them, what will it be about, what is the aim, is when do we want them to engage? Will it be like a sharing session? Will it be like an interactive element? All of this, so that you don't take them by surprise, because it's so much easier to distance yourself from just the computer than if you're actually in a physical space where you feel like you have to participate.
Yeah.
One thing we've learned that actually works really well when we're having these virtual workshops is that you say from the beginning, if you're out having a good discussion with someone, maybe in a breakout room or something else, and you feel like, wow, that's actually a really interesting point, I would love for you to share this with the rest of the group, that you can nominate each other and say, hey, that was a really good point. Is it okay that I nominate you? And then when you have the plenary discussions or summaries of what actually happened out there in the breakout rooms, then you actually know who will say stuff, and you know for sure that it's going to be valuable. At least the rest of the room believes so. Yeah. So that's one way of going about it.
Using the collective. Another big challenge is that we've been in these virtual workshops for quite some time. And even though Butter, Miro, Mural are really, really good platforms and very playful, we've been there and we've been to tons of workshops. And maybe some of you even, maybe not you, but your colleagues disliked workshops before going full virtual. So there is this fatigue of sitting in another workshop. I even participated in a meeting where the facilitator said, we won't be in any mural or Miro boards. We'll be in a spreadsheet today. And that felt so exotic because we've been in these workshops for so long time. The third big challenge is that everything is like kind of intensified in a virtual setting. So one thing is the silence that feels like so loud when nobody says anything, but it's also like a comment that wasn't meant in a harsh way can be perceived as super harsh and awkward jokes. Like everything is just a little more intense, more awkward, more harsh, and you can also feel very alone as a speaker when you look into that tiny camera and you can't really see the face of the participants. So you can feel super alone compared to how you would feel if you were standing physically in front of a crowd. So yeah, that was like what we think is one of the three big challenges. So I don't know if you can just type into as a comment which one of them, the first, the second, or the third, which one you that resonates the most with your experiences. Just type in the number, or maybe another challenge that we haven't mentioned. Oh, it varies. Yeah, and they're all intertwined, right? Like sound of silence is intensified, and yeah. And if you have other challenges, please bring them forward. I'm sure we can relate.
Yeah, I'm sure we've experienced it at some point.
And you can never anticipate what will happen because the crowd can be different than you expected, right?
Yeah. Especially if you do it like with external people and you're prepping a workshop and you know what the aim is, you've done all your work, but then you actually don't know what sort of energy you'll face. Yeah. Okay, great. So
that's what we think is the three big challenges.
Definitely. And now we sort of want to flip it around and go to a Miro board where we would love to hear from you. What's then been your most delightful virtual workshop experience you've had in the past year? What was the aim? Why were you there? Why was it exciting? And then afterwards, elaborate maybe a bit on what was it? What was that secret sauce? What was the spice the ingredient that made the whole thing tie together?
Yeah.
We're so excited to hear what you have through.
But first, we would actually, before you type anything, just take your hands off the keyboard because we would really like you. Amazing, Anne-Marie, good. Hands off the keyboard, because one thing that is heavily understated in and not used very much in workshops, also physical ones, is using silence, letting people reflect. So for the next minute, just sit and think back of the last year or month or when you've been to a workshop and which one was the most delightful. So before typing anything, just sit in silence and think.
And reflect.
Together. Yeah. Time is up.
Thank you so much, everyone. Then we'll set a new time for 2 minutes where you can just write in all of your thoughts.
I think we need some music, don't we, Jessica?
Yeah, I think we need some music as well.
Yeah. That's one of the things I really like about using Butter, that it's so like playful and you can put on music.
Just here for the last minute to keep the energy high. Perfect.
I'm looking so much forward to seeing what's written. This one.
Bringing aliveness in online gatherings, definitely.
Yeah, it's way more interactive. And to the right, one also said that having these honest and raw conversation, that people really share the honest opinions. Yeah. I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also we'll get more into this, but that's a tricky setup. Like it's super important, but it's definitely also taking some time for us to get into that like raw, safe space through virtual workshops. That's so good to hear.
Yeah.
Whenever there's dance and music involved, that's such a good.
Yeah. And one also said that it was fun when there's energizers and you can see all the other participants having fun.
Yeah.
It's nice. I've been to workshops where I've been like standing up and like doing stretches in order to like energize the crowd, and I look so silly, but it's what creates like laugh and a jolly atmosphere.
Definitely. Okay, maybe let's go down and see what was that ingredients that made it all so impactful.
Yeah, some of you have already said it, but
taking breaks, definitely taking breaks, knowing when to have the breaks, and that goes very well hand in hand with the clear agenda, right? Like knowing when do you need us to be engaged and when can we just sit back and relax. We'll definitely come back to that later.
True. And one also said tech sorted out beforehand, and that's so true. I think it was one of your previous speakers, Jessica, who also said like you shouldn't excuse tech, be like, sorry, the tech is not working, blah blah blah. Like one thing is that the tech should work, but also don't be apologetic about it and speak about it for hundreds of years.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well-structured agenda. Yeah. Love that. Music.
The informal setting and personal stories, I think that's a really good one as well. Getting that sort of relaxed environment, because it can already seem so distant and sort of formal. So just like break those barriers and feel like you're having like a real interaction with people, even though it's online.
Yeah. And also having things sent beforehand, pre-read. That you can tune into what's going to happen at the workshop. Mm-hmm. That's also nice. And genuine facilitators. Well, we hope we can be that today. Yeah. Good.
Further through after the session, definitely. Yeah. So great. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for sharing.
Is fantastic. We'll definitely also make all of this available afterwards. So because we didn't have time to dive into all of your good comments, so definitely you can see this afterwards, and we'll have it as our little knowledge bank together.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share my screen again, and then we will start diving into these 10 tips for designing engaging virtual workshops.
We won't die and be tired and So first tip is everything, like half of the work is in preparing the workshop. One of you said that you like that there was a clear structure and agenda. And the way you do that is to prepare yourself. Theresa and I have been preparing this workshop for quite some time. And yeah, I would say roughly 50% of a workshop lies in all the work and the reflections and the decisions before executing, like what is the aim, which elements should I use, how do I engage my participants, and like really prepping a workshop is even more important digitally than in a physical workshop, because you can't like take the temperature of the room the same way. You can't wing things and improvise in the same manner. So it's like, yeah, prepping and doing a preparation is really everything. And also doing a tech check. Like before you guys joined, we were meeting with Jessica and we're sharing our screen and like checking if everything was all right and aligning. And that's just a thing I've been doing. And you also, like every time we've been hosting workshops, like if we have external speakers, always do a check. Like even send them a calendar invite so you're sure that you have everything clear and ready for the participants to arrive to the room.
Definitely. Number 2, keep it short and kill your darlings. So what we mean by this is that don't try to put the physical workshop into the virtual. It's different, it won't work, and you need to change your ways. We've learned this the hard way. Yeah. We usually had workshops that could easily last 5 hours in a physical format. Yeah. Then there would be a little lunch maybe in between, some coffee breaks. There would be some like networking, all of this stuff.
It's kind of embarrassing. We just did a copy paste.
Yeah. Forget about it. Forget about it. It's not going to work. And also you're gonna lose the energy in the room. Like it's just not good. Keep it short. And I mean, we could go on and on and on about our list as well, but we kept it to 10 because we needed it to have some momentum with you guys as well.
Have you done the same? Just been copy pasting a workshop that was physical, like in the same length and the same exercises, or have you also done that mistake? Have a thumbs up, or we're just the only ones?
So at least what we've experienced is it's better to keep it as more workshops for a shorter while, and then have a clear aim. Have a clear like, this is the theme. Next week we're going to go through this theme. Have the phases divided in a different way, spread it out in a different format, and then make sure to say, okay, if we think the whole like service through the whole experience of engaging in a workshop, what can we do in the preparation? Could we send out a clear agenda? Could we share us a video of us, a Loom that talks about, hey, we're so excited to see you. We're going to go through this and this. The aim is this and this. We hope you'll come with good energy and participate. Really set the scene. Even before people log on to their call. We've at least have some really good results with that. And then make sure that you're saying it's recorded. We're documenting everything. Just be there, be present. You will get it afterwards. And then have a thorough follow-up. And having sort of like Miro and Mural and stuff like that can be a great way, exactly as we did, to have an easy follow-up afterwards, so people feel like they really harvest those learnings, and then make sure that you actually know what you're going through the entire time.
And also, like developing a product or service is it needs some reflection time. Like the good thoughts happens when you're out for a walk or in the shower. So like use time to develop the next good service in your company. And actually, what you just said ties into the next point, like about setting the scene. Like it's so important as a participant to feel like there's a structure and there's an agenda and there's a purpose. Why am I here? And that's so important to set from the very beginning and really state what's going to happen today. And setting these expectations also builds credibility, and participants won't leave disappointed because you know what to expect. So really do that. And also, like as Theresa said, think about it, not just when you're executing the workshop, also beforehand, what are you posting on LinkedIn about this? You were in the waiting room before entering this, like you could see the agenda, what was going to happen and what the theme was. And that's all these mechanisms that tune your mind into what's going to happen. What am I focusing on today? And that's so important because we come from back-to-back meetings, and like it can be hard, like taking out the time to go into a workshop. So help your participants tune into the right channel. Yeah.
And we had such a great comment over here, like for TED Talk, the presentation is a year. Yeah. It's harder to have a short talk than a long talk. And I think that's absolutely rings true with us as well. Yeah. I think it was Churchill that said, if you want me to like just talk for 2 hours, let's go. If you want me to talk for 10 minutes, like give me half a year of preparation. Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah. That's also something we say a lot to startups.
Yes,
when they're doing the
definitely.
pitch. Yeah.
Definitely. So the fourth ties very well into Lena's house rules and the safety it creates. If you have clear rules and people know exactly what you expect of them, it creates trust. Like, how is the practice? Should I raise my hand with the camera? Should I raise the hand with the button? Should I write comments? When will they be picked up? Like, if you don't know if your comments or questions are gonna be answered, that also leaves you with a feeling of not feeling so included. So stuff like that is also just really important, and help them understand the sort of universe that you're trying to create. Like, really set that energy from the beginning so they know what they're in. Is it dynamic where you can just unmute and say something, or is it a more like strict format where maybe you have like a lot you have to do in a short amount of time, and you actually don't have that time for them to be engaging? So like, is it a dialogue you're wanting with this meeting workshop, or is it more like a monologue where other people have, or like very specific dedicated people have time to speak? So like, for instance, with us, we've tried to make it very clear for you guys. You can always say if that succeeded or not, when we want your input, and not when we're speaking and giving our 5 cents, and when it's time for you to chip in. And we love having all of your comments in the side and see all of this dynamic going. It's just great. It's just great.
Speaking about that, are you with us? Can you get us a reaction whether or not you're with us? We just see the slides. We have another screen where we can see, okay, you're with us.
Perfect.
Amazing. Great. Okay. The next tip is about doing, because workshops is about engaging people and using interactive elements. So you witnessed us using polls, which is a great way to like create a conversation, like using it as a probe to start a dialogue. And that is just like particularly important in the beginning of a workshop. Like the first minutes really sets the scene and the tone for the rest of the workshop. But besides polls, also like encourage your participants, as we just did, to use reactions and leave comments and raise their hand if anything is unclear. Really try to use all the other functions that the virtual platforms allows. And but of course, workshops are also different, and sometimes you want to create a more concentrated and different atmosphere. And I think it was the last ButterMixer speaker, Brittany Bowring, who said, like, you have to ask yourself how you want your participant to feel and not just what they should do. And I think that's so true. You should always ask yourself, how do you want them to feel? Like, do you want like to create a room where you concentrate and like, or should it be more like jolly and dandy and so use the elements to at the right times to create the good atmosphere. Especially
like, are we creating opportunities together, or are we sort of like taking decisions?
Yeah. Different phases of a innovation process.
And number 6, what's your workshop rhythm?
I like that one.
The rhythm. Back to the music and the cheerful energiness. What we mean by this is, please like shift in what you're actually doing. Like, please shift between having a talk, having a Q&A, having a plenary discussion, group work,
stretch,
exactly,
whatever,
a little break, all of this stuff. Like, it really helps create the momentum and really creates the steady energy environment. And breakout rooms is, of course, a great way to do this, both for the group work and for the more like deep dives into heavy conversations, or conversations that might take a bit more, where you can't be like, let's say 60 people in a room. You need to like break it down and get some really good hands-on conversations where you deal with it in a more specific way. So having that shift around makes sure that people are also a bit on their toes, and there is a talk, I can listen and just sort of like suck it in, get a cup of coffee, and now I need to participate. I need to be there, and I need to give like my 5 cents. So definitely that, but I'll get more into the breakout rooms later. And also, using silence is a really like underestimated thing. Like we just did, take a minute before you actually write something. It's okay to have the breaks. It's okay for us to be a little quiet with the reflections, both maybe in the beginning, what do you hope to get out of it, have a little break, and I think even more so when you close a workshop down, what did you get out of it, really have those maybe 5 minutes where people are first a bit silent, and then you can open up for the sharing and sort of rounding off in that, also like to get that different pace.
It's the same, like I'm an anthropologist, and when I do interviews, it's like, it's so important to make room for silence. Like it feels uncomfortable when you're interviewing, but also as a speaker, before that 1 minute, it felt like a super long time for us. But it's really like, use silence as a tool. But also about this rhythm, like changing between who's speaking, like a TV host, like changing who's leading and talking.
Yeah, get people, different people with different energy. Yeah. For sure.
So the 7th tip for us from us to you is the importance of having breaks. Like, trust us, if you don't allow for breaks and you're just so eager to like go through your whole agenda, the participants will make their own breaks when they feel like it, and that won't affect the outcome of the workshop very well. So please make room for breaks. We normally go for around like 10 minutes tops before people should get back. That allows you to go to the bathroom and grab a cup of coffee. And we also try to have breaks.
But not check mails.
It's not check mails. Yeah, we really stress, leave your computer, walk away from it, stand up.
Look at the out of the window.
Yeah, exactly. Do something else. And usually after 45 minutes maximum, because that's what the human brains can concentrate for. That's 45 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And of course for lunch you should leave longer time, because you need to like have time to, like, if you're smoking or you have a dog or whatever. So but yeah, every 45 minutes, that's my rule of thumb. You should give your participants a break. Otherwise they'll take one themselves.
Definitely. And they just will.
Yeah, they just will. You can see it, that face, or they put off the camera. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, number 8. I said I would get back to this. So breakout rooms. What can they do, and why can they also be tricky?
You mentioned it. Yeah.
We actually considered sending you out into breakout rooms in the beginning, because we know the energy that it can create, but it can also be a bit risky, maybe a bit bold when it's a crowd that doesn't know each other. We definitely feel like it works better for internal communication, or maybe clients that have met each other, collaborators, but at least it can get people a bit more distant and signed off if it's complete strangers. Again, depending on the crowd, but that's just what we've sort of learned. But we also wanted to share it with you, so here it comes. But breakout rooms is just an overall great way to create energy and really make sure that everyone is being heard. I think one of the things we've learned the hard way with breakout rooms is when they're out, they're gone, and you sit there and you're like, so now I'm just here as a facilitator, sort of alone. Like all of the people are maybe in like 8 or 10 different breakout rooms, working their butt off and getting all of these good insights and learnings, and just really have the dialogue going. And you're just sitting there and you're like, that's a weird energy shift all of a sudden. Yeah. So what we've learned is it's great if you're capable to check or able, and the time allows you to check in with the different teams in the breakout rooms. And if you're like blessed enough to have more team members facilitating the workshop, make sure that you check in into all of the breakout rooms. It also keeps their energy to see that you're in there and just be like, is everything clear here? Is the task understood? Now half of the time is up. What are you talking about? Oh, that's a great, interesting point. Maybe you should say that when we go back into the big room for the plenary sharing, or whatever. Another thing is also, because it's so intransparent and you sort of feel like you're losing touch with the participants, it's so important. Like, we can't stress this enough, to have a clear purpose before you go out to the breakout rooms. And even if you can also have the purpose and the time cap out in the breakout rooms. I think we've all met that person where you say, okay, so now it's time to go out and work on your own. We'll see you in 25 minutes. You get out to the breakout room and there's someone unmuting and saying, so how much time did we have? And what was it again we were supposed to do? So just make sure that you don't rely on the other participants to have that information. Just make it super clear what is actually going on, what you expect of them. Yeah, this is definitely, I think this is one of the things I've had most difficulties with, actually getting that rhythm with the breakout rooms and feel like I'm still part of the conversation and I have a feeling of what's actually going on, like out there, because you can sort of, in a physical space, you can just feel the room buzzing and you can sort of see on people's face if they're lost. And should you like give them 5 more minutes? Should you cut it short? Like all of this stuff.
So true. Yeah. You lose control, but that's also where the beautiful things happen. Like, as you said in the mirror board, like that's where you have the intimate
and it's such a great way to track how people are doing, because if you, as a facilitator, view all of the mural boards or the mural boards, you can see what's actually going on, and then you can see what groups are working slower or more speedy than the others. So it's a good way to share knowledge afterwards. It's a good way to also say, oh, see, we got this far, all of us. You see the progress.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
and maybe we could even share that we've been hosting workshops with like a lot of startups where we beforehand had a spreadsheet where we were typing in, Theresa checks into these 5 startups. So we were assigning facilitators to different groups. That's a way to structure that and make sure you get in contact with everybody and nobody sits alone for whatever amount of time.
Also because sometimes you need that background knowledge. Like, for instance, with a startup, if you're trying to get them somewhere and get some new insights, maybe some design tools as we do, and get some progress, and you have them for 3 hours total, then it's great that I know Lina knows what they're doing, and she'll like take them by the hand the entire way, and she can give them that feedback that they need, because you would know what their business is about.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, preparation.
Power to preparation. Yeah, and I think it's a beautiful bridge, because breakout rooms is an excellent way to make a workshop a safe space, because you engage with other participants, you experience that you're listened to, and hopefully you're also respected, and that's the way to make people engage. Because I read research at some point saying that if you make participants engage and speak out loud within the first minutes of a workshop, they're like 60 to 80% more likely to be engaged and participate actively in the rest of the workshops. That's why we do introduction rounds whenever we're in a physical meeting. Like saying something out loud in the beginning, then you feel like, okay, it's all right that I'm here. It's okay that I take up space. I actually have something to share.
And it doesn't even need to be around the topic, because some people can also feel uncomfortable. Like, what do you hope to get out of this session today? And then you're like, it can also be like, what's your typical coffee order? Like, where do you want to go this summer?
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't need to be anything like fancy where you already sort of set the brain hierarchy, because some people maybe like are more quick on their feet and other people maybe need to like warm up.
Exactly. That's a good point, because if it's a small group, you can like predefine the questions that they should answer. Like, say how your weekend was, your favorite cup of coffee or tea, and like make these like broad questions that everybody can answer and that are not intimidating. And of course you will always experience some people, usually the ones in power positions, like, or feeling very like they've been around in the organization for many years, they will speak a longer time than you expected. So it can get a little out of hand, these introduction rounds, but they're worth it, because then they create this safety, and like it's so important when you want to have a good workshop. Just one more thing, and if it's like a big crowd, always like have the no, I already said that. Yeah, I think we are good. No, yeah, as a facilitator, you also have a very important role to play to create this safe space. Like, you should really use your expression, like nod and like compliment participants for asking questions, and like, so nobody feels stupid for asking a question or leaving a comment. So you also like a big creator of this safe space. Yeah,
definitely.
Mm-hmm. And especially because everything is intensified virtually.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So 10, take the lead. What we mean by this is make the progress evident, like make the entire process transparent. Why are we here? What are we going to do? I'm going to show you how it's done. I'm going to lead you through the entire way. And I mean, they just need to feel, again, they need to feel very safe, and like, the whole communication part of it here is key. So what are we going to do afterwards? And what are we doing together now? So make sure to say, okay, now we had this inspirational talk, follow through. What was the 3 key insights that you already know, because you're already prepared and you're already checked in with that person that would need to speak, right? So you know that, and make sure that you highlight what is going on. Why are we here all the way? So people feel like they're following along.
Yeah.
And also be like, now we're halfway through. Now we created this big opportunity space. Now we're going to take a break. And then afterwards, we're going to start making some decisions, or we're going to hear from this person, or, whatever. It's really, really about making sure that people know exactly where you are in the phase.
Power to meta communication.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. We're through. That was
our 10
tips and tricks, approaches, tools. Yeah. So did you find it useful? Yeah, here we have them. We'll send the slides.
We will send the slides.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
Now it's thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
That's when we need the sounds now for everyone. But I hope everyone got a lot of interesting and practical tools from that. And we're moving on a bit to the Q&A. And as Lina and Theresa mentioned, we'd also love to hear your own inputs if you guys want to share techniques that you've also used in your own sessions.
Yeah, what should our 11th tip be?
Exactly.
Yeah. And which one of ours resonates the most with what you experienced? So please speak forward. Yeah, we have Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah.
You also have a brilliant comment in the comment section. So Sarah.
So thank you, and lovely how you're practicing what you're preaching by keeping the tips short and sweet. So thank you. Well done.
Thank you.
And I think my tip would be 11. It's just to notice your own state. Because let's say if I'm afraid of silence as a facilitator, whenever there's silence in the room, I'm triggered by it in a way, because my brain's like, oh, there's no silence, can I use sound? But if I can be with that silence, then I can also name it. As in, hey, I noticed after these questions, nobody's saying anything. What does this say? So if I can be with ease, whatever discomfort there is, then the group can also face their own discomfort. So that's my greatest learning. But thank you once again so much for those great tips and for sharing your knowledge.
Thank you, Sarah. So much. And also using your co-facilitator, but also using your co-facilitators, like instructing them beforehand. Like, I will use a lot of silent breaks today, and there's a reason why I do this, and stick with me. So
check in on the energy as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Cheryl, you have a question.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was really, really helpful. I just have a question. So, for example, let's say it's a kickoff for a fellowship. So it's going to be a bit more loose and not very technical, or not have so much structure. It's supposed to just bring everybody together. And let's say it's large scale, right? So let's say there are 100 people there. Like how many breakout rooms, how many times should you do a breakout rooms, for example, if it's within 3 hours? And should you keep everybody in the same breakout rooms for like the length of the whole kickoff, if it's like 3 hours, for example?
I think if the aim is to bring people together, mixing them up is a great way. But it also depends on what sort of actors do you have in the room, like what do you feel like their energy is, how much do you need to get out of them, like is it key learnings that you need to sort of track down, or is it more conversational because you want to create that connection, you want to create that bridge, you want to make sure that it's more like people getting to know each other in a broad flow, having those conversations, getting to know each other a little bit.
Yeah. I think one of the other participants said that it was nice being able to leave a room, because like as like in the physical world, in a cocktail party, you don't have the most interesting conversations with everybody, and it should be fine leaving. Thinking about a particular event we had a few months ago in the Danish Design Centre, where startups were pitching, and then afterwards we wanted potential investors to be able to go to the room and talk to them, to the startups. But what we had done beforehand was that we had handpicked what we call a buddy, a person within that area that was always in the room. So you would never enter a room where there was just silence. There would always be something flowing between the startup and that person, which was nice, because then like you didn't feel like when you entered a room you had to like be like hey, and like scratch. You could engage in the conversation.
I actually have another great one. We were doing this conversational dialogue where we had to check in with each other and be like, get a bit. It was actually an internal workshop in DDC, where we needed to figure out how is the work environment, like how are you doing, how are you feeling? We've been apart for a long time now, we're gathering again, all of this stuff. And the people facilitating it, they came up with a menu where there would be like different courses, which were the questions. So there would be an appetizer, and then there would be 4 different questions that you could choose to speak about, and it would be like the intensity level, like the depthness of the question would be different. And then you were by random put into a group with some people, and then you just sort of began talking about that specific question that you felt comfortable with, and just really meeting people where they were, the question that they wanted to talk about. So it's like, have you found a better balance by working from home? That could be one. And then the other could maybe be like, do you feel more alone? And that's maybe a bit of a different content, right? So like having those different layers. And then we had like appetizer, main course, dessert. So it was 3 different rounds where you got into 3 different random groups.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. That's incredibly helpful. Thank you.
And maybe you should, like, if it's 3 hours, you could have some main stage events between breakouts where you throw talks and like,
Thank you guys so much. That's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. So do you have other tips for us, or anything like you want to elaborate on one of our tips? Please feel free to comment, ask questions.
Yeah, we still have 5 minutes left, so we're eager to hear your thoughts.
Don't be shy, guys. If you want to come up on stage, feel free.
Yeah.
Anyone? Actually, maybe an open question. Okay, Khaldun. Yay, someone.
Sometimes you just need to give people a minute in silence.
Yeah, you need to like think about what you want to like say and how you want to frame it. So tell us, Khaldun, what's on your mind?
Yes, what I found really interesting in workshops, when you make it personal and when you let people tell a story about something happened with them related to the topic. So getting personal would lift the energy up, and you could start with yourself. For example, if you talk about collaboration, I would talk about a moment where, like a story where I collaborated with other people and how did it go. Maybe make it exciting, show some emotions with your audience. That's going to create a two-way communication. So I believe getting in touch and the human contact and the emotions would drive the energy up.
Yeah,
Couldn't
definitely
agree more.
Yeah,
So
it
true.
sets the scene for what's going to happen, and it makes you like feel like a human, like you share something, maybe even a fuck up. So like you allow for the room to also make mistakes and don't be as performance focused.
If you as a facilitator is like vulnerable from the get-go, again, if that's the sort of mood you're trying to create, then that's also gonna reflect. And especially if it's more like a hard topic to talk about, and the person orchestrating the whole thing opens up and it's like, I've actually been really nervous to do this today. Like, I wanted to do breakfast, but it was actually a bit difficult because I didn't really know your energy, and I was excited, but I was also scared because we haven't dived into this topic before. And like, I've tried to prepare it the best I could, but we're here for 3 hours, and honestly, I don't know what's going to come out of it. Like, beginning having this, because surely the people sitting in the other end are feeling the exact same.
And then maybe even handpicking the CEO or other powerful position people to express something. So you're sure that they set the scene. So the interns and the ones lower in the corporate hierarchy feel like they can share their thoughts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. That's a good tip. I wrote it down.
Thank you. Also, one more thing. Sometimes maybe if you want to set a story for everybody to talk about, so maybe I start with one sentence and the person following me would say, and. So I say, I went to the beach. Somebody else says, yeah, and I found a boat. The third guy would say, yeah, and we dived into the whatever. So we continue a story, set a rhythm, and thing would go smooth.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's so true. I used to work in a tech company, and all the tech people, they were always like beginning the sentences with and in order to instead of but, like, you know.
I've heard it with however. In group discussions when you're coming up, especially when maybe you're having to make decisions, instead of saying, but the problem is like, however, I think it could be blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So really setting that tone of voice.
And building on top of each other. Because that's also how ideas grow, right? So that's a good tip. Another good tip. Thank you. We're running out of time. And I think, Sheska, you want to say the final words and maybe present the next ButterMixer if that's in place?
Yeah. Actually, let me add myself to the screen. But I think before that, thank you so much. Yeah, I'll try to come up. It's a bit weird being on the spotlight, but again, thank you so much, guys, for sharing all those tips and for sharing your time with us. We really appreciate it. Like, I was also like trying to take down notes because a lot of it is very practical. We can use it in all of our sessions, especially there were interesting moments there about the sound of silence, how to be vulnerable, and creating that safe and engaging space for everyone. I hope everyone got a lot out of it, and thank you as well to everyone for sharing your time and your energy with us. We do hope to see you in the next ButterMixers. We have one coming up 2 weeks from now, same time, Thursday, with Matthew Saburin, and we'll be talking about gamification in online workshops. So that's also quite an interesting topic.